Well, hi there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about things in fantasy literature. I'm the son in that equation, Zach.
And I am the father, Jim. Thanks for joining us again for another episode.
How you doing, Dad?
Oh, he got to it before I could this time. Breaking up, shaking up the rhythm. I love it. And then you were gesturing to something.
Yeah, no, you go for. That'll be in my how I'm doing.
I'm doing great. Kind of, I don't know, feeling my way through here. We're not recording on a typical day or time, so I think I'm doing fine. It was a full weekend. I did a quick trip and then had a chance to really have some fun on playing Watctionary.
That was a lot of fun yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank all those who host that show and welcomed us in. And even though I didn't win, and
I didn't either, but I beat you.
And you did beat me,
That's
but
the
I
important
didn't
part.
come in last. And, you know, really what mattered is that I got something right somewhere
None of us
along the
got
line.
0.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody had points on the board, and we all had fun, you know, and just another opportunity for Wheel of Time to add some value and enjoyment to our lives.
Absolutely.
So I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Zach?
Well, I'm doing mostly pretty good. Rolling into kind of the drinking section of this podcast, it goes into how I'm doing. See, I was doing mostly pretty good, and I went to go make my drink, and I was looking for the nice Wheel of Time glasses that we have that it's got a nice snake and wheel etching on it, and I couldn't find it, so I put in a different glass, and, well, I turned my head to look over at your bookshelf where you have the books displayed, and there's the glasses, because you added them to your back display when we played Pictionary.
You know, I think they just look nice there, and they were taking up space in the kitchen counter. So
Yeah, but you
this is a better
didn't,
place
like,
to put them. You
when
didn't
I-
ask.
Yeah,
Where'd
I
they
did.
go, Dad?
I was sitting here going, where is this? What?
You didn't ask
And then I
me.
made a comment about it after I'd poured, and you said nothing. So,
I just took a picture of that beautiful display. You'll find it on our Instagram.
but it's fine. I'll still toss the drinks back, be the glass big or small.
There you go. No matter how small or how tall or something. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but on that note, you're drinking wine. I see. What kind of wine?
I am drinking just a regular blend, a red table wine. I took a picture of the bottle because it's a colorful bottle. This will also be on our Instagram. Disorderly Conduct is the name of it. And I'm sure you can find it out there somewhere. But it's yummy. It's really tasty. It went great with the ribeye we had for
That's
dinner.
a good name, though.
And if you can find it, I do recommend it. I very much enjoy this particular bottle of red.
And I very much approve of the name.
Disorderly Conduct, yes.
It works. I actually made a drink today.
And you guys know, if you're regulars, how shocking that is.
I mean, I'll throw things together, but no, I actually made a drink.
like I took a little Kahlua, I poured some milk in. It's like chocolate milk. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's how he makes drinks usually. But
it's
tell us,
usually-
Zach, what did you do?
So it's called a roasted toasted almond. It's
like you looked up a recipe?
well, I mean, I've looked it up before, but yes.
Wow.
Equal parts for me here, 2 ounces each of Irish cream, Kahlua, and Grand Marnier.
So as opposed to on a weekend where you just slept in till you woke up and rolled in to do recording and the best you can do is make Kahlua milk,
Okay.
if you actually go to work and you come home, you need a real drink.
Yeah, I think that should say something.
And it does say something that I want to roll into here now.
Okay.
And that the pandemic is drawing to a close, people. With that happening, life is getting back to more normal, meaning schedules are going to get more sporadic. We don't have just the same boring routine of, hey, we're just trapped at home and there's nothing else to do. Let's record a podcast episode. So we are finding already there's going to be more challenges sticking to the kind of schedule we've been used to.
It's likely that we will still be trying as best we can to get our episodes out in the same amounts and times, but our live recording won't necessarily be same day, same time every time.
That's right. So those of you patrons on Patreon who have been joining us for live recordings, we love having you here. We will try to do a better job of warning you of when we'll do recordings, because we gave about 10 minutes notice for this one.
We'll try to give you at least 24 hours next time.
Yeah, we'll definitely, we're going to try to plan this out a little better. Now, speaking to that, we will be recording our next episode in just, I don't know, 2 or 3 days from now, as soon as I can get the notes done, because I'm on vacation next week. So we will not do our regular weekend recording because I'll be at the beach with your mother. And
Enjoy that.
yeah, we're already guest appearing on Malkier Talks podcast. And I should throw that in too. That's part of what's also causing our schedule to get a little haywire.
Yesterday with the Watchinary, it ran from one time to another, and the next thing I know, I look down at my watch and go, I'm DMing my normal game of D&D in 20 minutes.
Yeah, we were going to record, and the time was gone. But as we've been interacting more with the fabulous Wheel of Time fan community, it means we're guest spotting on other podcasts. We're arranging to have others be on our podcast, and time just gets sucked up. And then we actually have to do things like go to work and have a life.
It's something we absolutely enjoy.
Yes.
But it does make scheduling sometimes a little more difficult.
We're committed to keep the content coming out and at a high quality, but yeah, when exactly we can record is going to get a little more haphazard, and we'll just keep you posted the best we can. It mostly depends on Zach and I remembering to talk about it. Hey, when should we record?
It's weird. It's like we don't talk as much when we're not recording. We should just record more often.
There you go. And speaking of that, Zach is moving to Texas in a couple of months. And his mother has already told me that, well, when we record, we have to plan like the first 20 minutes of just she's going to be here to talk to her son first.
Oh, okay.
And then we can move on to the recording.
Well, I mean, that was one of the things that I really enjoyed, and one of my biggest motivators to make sure that I commit to keeping this up, not just because I enjoy it, but because I'm moving and I'm bad at talking to you guys when I'm at a distance. Oops.
Yeah, he went off to college for a few years, and once in a while we'd send a text message. Hey, you still alive?
I made sure to try and text on occasion so that it didn't seem like I only talked when I needed
Yeah,
something.
his text on occasion was, yes, the response to what we'd just sent. Okay, it's not quite that bad.
It almost is, though.
But
I'm not
we
gonna
raised
lie.
him to fly free, and he's done that very well.
I love you guys. I'm just not great at keeping up with you guys.
But podcasting will keep us together.
Absolutely. And so it will start becoming more and more as we go on here in the next few months. A time where not just my dad and I get to sit down and talk fantasy, but also remember to bond and have good father-son times.
Yeah, we'll start out when I'll say, so Zach, how you doing? And honestly, I'll have no bloody clue until he fills us in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys will learn just as much about my life as my dad will, maybe.
All right. So, to move into a little closer towards our content for today,
Yes.
we have a new patron.
We do.
To announce. That's right. And now this is actually kind of funny because this patron has already been with us on a live recording.
But that episode won't come out for another week and a half after this one does.
That's correct. So this will be the first one that releases when this patron will hear their name involved. So Jordan Martins, a Brooks tier patron, we are so glad to have you with us. You've already been
Absolutely.
interacting and all over our Discord server, loving that you're adding value to the conversation. So thank you, and your support is super appreciated.
Hope to keep seeing you around.
Definitely. I don't have any other pre-announcement stuff other than to remind our folks here we will have a spoiler room section at the end again. So we're going to be spoiler light through our one chapter that
Except
we're
for the-
covering today.
The few minutes in that extra room after the episode.
That's right. So stick around with us. First-time readers, you're all safe here. We'll give you plenty of warning when we're moving into the spoiler room. And then we're going to spoil the heck out of two things.
So, Dad, where are we at this week?
We are on chapter 32. I originally thought we'd get through a little more, but it's been a busy week, and all I had time to prep was one chapter. But
On
this,
the bright side, it's a very full
yes,
chapter.
it's a great chapter.
I mean, it's not horribly long.
There's so much to talk about in it.
Goodness, it's only 10 pages.
I know, I was like, I can surely get more done than this. Nope,
There's a lot.
Nope, I got stuck.
It's one of these chapters where we get a lot of talking and not a ton of action and description
There's
of
so
just
much
stuff.
behind those words.
Exactly. And so these dialogue sequences are something that don't require large panning shots or budget for the show, but when we talk about things and review, it's got so much good content.
So when we talk about these words from chapter 32 of The Great Hunt, the title is great. Dangerous words. That's what it's called.
Yeah, some of them definitely will be.
We're picking right up with Rand, Varen, Matt, Perrin, the group. They had made their plan on how to get into Lord Barthanes' manor.
It'd be the day after tomorrow for them.
Uh-huh.
From when we
Yeah,
last
that's a
saw
good
'em.
movie, The Day After Tomorrow.
It's
Remember
an
that one?
entertaining movie. It's got, what, Jake Gyllenhaal in it?
Is it Gyllenhaal? It's not Gyllenhaal? I don't know these
Pretty sure
things.
it's Gyllenhaal. Doesn't hold up as much as I would have liked, but it was entertaining at the time.
Disaster films. They're just entertaining. Cheap thrills. Almost as good as 2012. I liked that one.
That one was, I mean, it was better effects, I guess, but it didn't stick with me as much.
There's some
You liked it a
disaster
lot more than
stuff
me.
in The Wheel of Time.
Should we get back to it?
We should. So, as I said, it's the evening in Cairhien when Rand and company are going to enact that plan. They're responding to the invitation Rand received from Lord Barthanes,
Yes.
going to a gathering at his manor house. He is playing Lord Rand, as agreed. Also with them is Ingtar, because he is Ingtar of House Inuwa.
He technically
Shinawa.
has,
What
like...
was it? Shinawa? I think that's it. Anyways, he's a lord. He's a noble of Shinar. So his presence enhances Rand's. And Loyal's coming along because everyone in Cairhien likes Ogier. That's also something that's enhancing his presence.
Shinoa.
Shinoa. I said something like that. I think I said Shinoa. Yeah, Shinoa.
I mean, I could be wrong in the pronunciation, but that's what it looks like to me.
All right, so Rand has riding shotgun Ingtar, Loyal, and 10 Shinaran soldiers as the official escort.
And then the various servant folk.
Yep, Huron is coming along as Ingtar's body servant, even though he's really coming along because he can sniff out dark friends at Trollocs. And Matt is coming along as Rand's body servant.
I'm not exactly happy about that.
Oh man, this touches a touchy
Matt.
spot for Matt. Yeah,
Lord Rand. Of course, Lord Rand. Anything for you, Lord Rand.
But Matt is specifically there because if he gets close to the dagger, the ruby-hilted dagger, he can sense it. So you've got Huron who could maybe sense out even, the Horn of Valir by following the sniffing he does, and Matt for the other thing that they might find, and the two of them might be together.
I like to imagine with Matt, it's like he doesn't look so good, but if he gets close enough to it, it'll be like I feel like I got better.
Now Perrin and the rest of the Shinarans, they get left behind at the inn because they don't really fit in this image, this fakery that they've worked out.
No, and let's get honest, the Golden Eyes would be too many questions.
Maybe. Now, when I say they've worked out this fakery, there's not really a they.
Varen's worked out this fakery.
Yes, it's Varen's plan. Varen, of course, she's coming. She's inserted
and
herself.
she's just coming as Varen.
Well, and Rand even says, okay, so everyone has a particular part to play. So how do you fit into this plan? And she literally says, I'm here to make sure y'all don't get into trouble. Now, Matt is not being quiet about his disgruntlement.
No, and it doesn't really work as a servant of a lord to be actively, showingly disgruntled in front of him, especially in Cairhien.
But Varen explains to Matt, to try to ease him a little bit, that you and Huron are actually the key pieces of this. The rest of us, we are distraction.
While you guys get to go wherever the hell you want.
Nobody pays attention to servants. All the eyes will be on us, and we're going to go about making small talk, keeping the focus on us while you two wander around like servants can and find what we're looking for.
And let's be honest, if you really want to get good small talk information, it's the servants you talk to because they're the ones who are willing to talk about the things that maybe a lord would want to keep secret.
Arriving at the manor, Rand presents the invitation and they are welcomed in. Varen is accorded the highest honor, actually, as she is an Aes Sedai.
Yes, the others just lords, but is still honored. And
an Ogier.
He receives a good amount of honor, kind of on par with the lords.
They don't even acknowledge the servants, but the servants are allowed to follow them in.
Yeah, they don't get, stabbed at the entrance. This isn't a Song of Ice and Fire.
Word is clearly sent, like another servant is and someone runs in farther into the manor. So clearly it's being announced, this guy's here.
Well, because they have to be ready and able that when, like, Rand steps into the ballroom, they announce bigly. Isn't that how they do that in this sort of
that's
stuff?
not why someone would be running away,
it's not why someone would run away.
The one who's going to announce
all.
them is with them still.
Oh, I know. That is some way that I could explain it off. It's not true.
I'm explaining it off as, remember, they did not technically respond to the invitation.
No, they just showed up.
They sprung it on them. So now it's like, scramble! These guys are here! So they are escorted through the outer hall and into a great room.
Question for you.
Yes?
You said, scramble, these guys are here. Do you think the guy running off is running off to just go tell Lord Barthanes?
Absolutely.
Or running off to go tell any potential Dark Friend elements that we are looking for?
Nope. I don't think these servants were important enough to be Dark Friends and talking
What are you
Dark
talking
Friend
about?
elements.
Dark Friends are among the high and the low.
These guys are just doing their job. And I'm sure they're running right to Barthanes. That's all. That's all I think. You can disagree if you like. Our fans can disagree if they like.
I really don't know either way, and it's probably Barthanes. But I thought I'd throw some dissent in here.
All right. Because we're that kind of podcast.
Oh, yeah. It's not a podcast of ours if we don't have at least a jab or two.
Right. So, again, they've made it into an inner area of the manor. And this is where we find nobles and performers. And they are duly announced. The person who escorted them in, bam, 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 pounds the staff, gets everyone's attention, and announces, in a very loud and clear voice, Lord Rand, all the stuff gets said.
I imagine that's a pretty posh servant job.
Oh, sure. The announcer.
Yeah.
The crier, whatever they call him. Varen actually gets announced first. Again, Aes Sedai.
greatest honor.
Big deal. But everybody else gets their due, and Rand notices the servants aren't here anymore. Matt and Huron are already gone.
Yep.
So they're going to play their role. All the eyes are on them during this announcement. And Rand can see, we kind of get from Rand's perspective here, ooh, an Aes Sedai, that gets a little stir. And oh, an Ogier, that's a little stir. He also hears a couple of comments about his heron mark blade that he's wearing. So everything is kind of striking some notes here. And almost right after that, and before the crowd goes back to normal, Lord Barthanes comes up. Now, it's the first time he's meeting him, so he's guessing, but here comes this guy right up to them, and he greets them. He looks a little warily at Varen, but he is full of courtesy. He notes he is surprised that they are here and that Lord Rand has such distinguished company, and I hope we have some time to speak this evening. Although Rand kind of has the impression Barthanes is like, and if we don't have the time, that'd be probably okay too.
Now, quick question for you.
Yeah.
We've talked about this previously in a previous episode that we maybe had to cut out. Did we learn Moraine's full name yet?
Well, we didn't cut it out, so we surely have learned
Okay,
about
because
it.
I don't remember if we had actually looked it up and gone into it to see.
I'm pretty sure it was in the book already, back in the Eye of the World.
Because
Damodred.
We officially have Barthanes' full name. It's Barthanes Damodred.
Dun dun dun.
They in some way are likely related.
Yep. Ooh, she has a dark friend in her family clan, whatever.
It happens.
We talk about families have dark sheep.
It's
Here?
black sheep, but...
Oh, black sheep. Well, dark sheep and dark friends went together better. So black sheep, dark friends.
Dark horse goes with
Yeah, a dark horse
dark
doesn't
friends,
mean the same
but a dark
thing,
horse
though.
does not mean a black sheep.
Dark horse is a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is
Put
a dark
your bet
friend.
on the
Wait,
dark horse.
what?
Wait, hey. Whoa. He's already going south when he's literally preparing to move south.
I don't mean it, but it's funny.
Anyways, so Barthanes, he made his greeting and then he moves back off into the crowd.
Yeah.
And Varen, Ingtar, they likewise drift off into the crowd. That's the plan. Everybody mingle. Everybody make a distraction. Keep them focused on us. So Matt and Huron can do their thing. Rand and Loyal, they stand together just a little bit longer, and Loyal leans over and says, I can sense a waygate nearby. And then he shares, when I came through Kyrian before...
It was a few years ago, apparently.
This place wasn't here. This was an Ogier Grove. So
Ooh.
the grove has just recently, like within the last few years, been cut down, and this has been built on top of it.
Those Kyrianen never caring about what trees they cut
They're
down.
always cutting down great trees. You'd think they'd learn.
Apparently not.
But then Rand and Loyal also split up because that's the plan. If they
You
stay
gotta
together,
mingle. It looks suspicious.
and nobody will come talk to them.
Yeah, don't be a sus loner with your own little group you came in with. Go actually meet and greet and talk with people.
The problem with that is Rand has zero interest in talking with anybody.
Oh,
because,
he's screwed, just in general.
I mean, he's Lord Rand. He has no clue.
He's
what
out
to
of his
talk about.
element and uncomfortable, and he was able to kind of hide in his bubble with people he knew, and he had enough of the self-assuredness so that he still looked like Lord Rand, but now it's just him.
Yeah. So, of course, how he handles it is he runs away. Not literally running, but he immediately starts moving. And this party, shindig, gala, whatever you want to call it, is not just happening in this one room. It's happening all over the manor. So he starts moving from room to room to room. Just
he does that
strolling.
thing in any kind of house party that when you don't actually want to talk to somebody, you just like, you walk over, you grab a drink, and you're like, yeah, hey, nice party, right? And then you like move on to the next group.
And you always
get a
look
new
like you're
drink
headed to someone else or to talk to someone else, but you never actually stop. You
and
just keep
sometimes
moving.
like at a doorway, you're like, hey, yeah. And then there's no one you actually went to. It's just you saying you're going over there.
So he does this room after room. He's seeing lots of entertainers. There's jugglers, musicians, tumblers, all sorts of things.
It's quite the affair.
But he never stops and pays attention to any of them for long because he's sure if he hesitates, someone's going to magnet right in on it.
Mm-hmm. The vultures are circling.
Right. Despite his efforts, as he's walking along through a room, suddenly Lord Barthanes is right there walking alongside him.
Whoops.
He couldn't escape. He tried. Didn't work. Barthanes
And of all the
strikes up a
people to
conversation.
find-
Well, he clearly came looking for Rand.
Yeah.
And he comments immediately, "You seem somewhat restless." So he's noticed that he's been walking around the whole time and not talking to anybody.
It's like, how long you been watching, my man?
Now, this conversation, the great game, is on full display here. Because Barthanes is asking questions. And Rand, well, he's trying to pretend to be a lord, and he's answering the questions. Some of them he's answering truly. Some of them he's answering with partial truth. But he's being very vague. And that vagueness is playing right into Barthanes, assuming Rand is playing the great game.
And so Rand accidentally plays the game kind of well? Maybe?
Taviran, my friend.
It's either really, really well or really, really poorly. But Barthanes chooses to believe, you're playing so badly at the game, you must be playing great at the game, and I don't even realize it.
Rand is struck by this Kyrian and Lord. He's finding the deepest meaning in the stupidest, most trivial things I say.
Of course.
Eventually, Barthanes moves away, thinking Rand, as you said, is a great, masterful player of the great game. He also seems to have the impression that Rand is perhaps working for King Galdrian. Because, and this makes sense
At
if you
least
think
when he
about
walks up to him, for
because
sure.
Rand answered by his presence Barthanes' invitation.
Mm-hmm.
But Barthanes knows Rand isn't on his side.
Mm-hmm.
So he's left to assume he accepted the invitation because he's really on King Galdrian's side and he's here to see what he can figure out to make things better for the king.
Or the other possible option, he is on Galdrian's side, but he's here to supposedly get information for Galdrian, but he's actually looking to be a double agent turn and maybe flip over to Barthanes' side and could be a useful agent.
But he could be doing exactly that plan so that he can triple agent right back for the king.
This is why the great game is stupid.
I love it, though. He flat out denies that he's here for King Galdrian.
Well, he denies he's met
twice.
him.
I haven't even met the king.
Specifically, I've
and
never even
Barthanes
met him.
is like, oh, yes, of course.
Well, and that's
yes,
kind of
right.
the worst thing. Rand doesn't say, I'm not working for him. He says, I've never met him. Over and over and over.
Which could totally mean a whole bunch of things. He is so great gaming it.
But he's not doing it intentionally. It just is happening.
All right, finally Barthanes, he's had enough for now. He wanders off into the party again. And Rand is thinking, I have no idea what's going on.
But it's about to get worse because Rand unintentionally has just screwed himself. He's been avoiding conversation this whole time. People have noticed.
Yes.
And the one conversation he finally does have
is with the most important person in the place.
So now everyone wants to stop him and talk to him.
Oh, they wanted to before, but now...
But now it's like, it's fair game. We don't have to wait for Barthanes to have that conversation.
I mean, remember, a lot of the people in this room are the nobles that Rand had already spurned by throwing their invitations away.
Of course.
So while they want to approach him, they don't know what's really going on. This is all great game, Days Damar stuff. So, okay, now he's talked to Barthanes.
It's kind of like, let's let the bigger fish go
Right,
first,
let
and then
that
we'll
play out.
we'll
Now
scoop
he's fair
in
game.
and see what we can pick up afterwards.
But it's not just that instantly he gets attacked then.
No,
Because
but kind of.
he makes a mistake that then opens himself up.
True.
Because he moves on to another room, and he's been seeing all these entertainers and all these different rooms, but this time he comes upon a gleeman whom we are quite familiar with.
Absolutely.
Tom Marilyn.
He's strumming his harp, doing a tale.
From The Great Hunt of the Horn.
The Great Hunt? Anyway.
Little on the nose there, yeah.
Rand
he's
is
like,
kind of struck. Oh, Tom's here.
He literally stops and just listens for a few moments.
And it's not long, but it's
That's
enough.
all it took. That's all it took.
We got it now.
Well, and he's partly stopped there because he's, hoping Tom will acknowledge him or something.
But Tom just keeps playing the audience, sweeping over, never really making eye contact with anyone.
I mean, Rand is sure Tom had to have seen him, but yeah, no recognition, no head nod, nothing.
No. I like to give Tom credit here because the first time we saw a situation kind of like this, it was a much more rundown environment, and Tom did have a moment of surprise seeing Rand, but now Tom knows Rand's in the city. He's going to be putting on his best face kind of act here, and so he's not going to react. Even if he's not playing the game, he said he was out earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He is aware of it, and he's not going to buy into that intentionally.
Right. So Rand is left thinking, all right, Tom said, clean break. I'm not having anything to do with this, and he must have meant it. He's not even giving me the time of day now, so I guess I should move on to something else, and this is where he doesn't have a chance now.
Yeah.
Because as he turns to go, a woman steps right up in front of him, blocks his path,
Oops.
and strikes up a conversation.
Yeah, you play the flute, right?
This woman, Elaine Chuliandred, yes, she starts talking about his flute. Now, I'm sorry, I read this. Okay, this is going to talk at length about how interested she is in his flute.
I mean,
Come
to
on.
be fair,
We got some entendre going on here.
she asks if he plays. He says yes. She eventually goes, maybe you could come over and play for me. Maybe you could even teach me. And at that point, it's like, okay, you've crossed a line from maybe you can play your flute for me, and maybe you can teach me to play the skin flute. And it's just a whole mess and problem.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Jordan never crosses over that blatantly, but it's pretty blatant.
It's pretty blatant.
Especially
and when they're talking about their husbands not being around.
This comment about, yeah, her husband's always gone,
Always off
hunting
in
and
the
stuff.
vineyards
And so
and-
I'm just lonely. You could come on over anytime. And while
Rand,
she's
to his idiocy, goes, you must miss him terribly.
yeah, and she chuckles. It's like she can't even catch on that he doesn't catch on. While she's been doing this flirting here, another woman comes up, Bellavere Ocelian, and she's doing flirting along the same exact lines, while at the same time insulting Elaine as a hussy.
And then it's going back and forth between the two where they're just like, get out of here. You're way too blatant and rough with this.
While they turn right around and be even more blatant and rough with Rand. Yes.
Yeah.
And Rand is feeling pretty overwhelmed and intimidated. He starts backing away. Unfortunately, he backs up against the wall. There's nowhere to go. And the women move in with their big poofy skirts. They have him trapped. There's nowhere to go unless he literally wants to push one of them out of his way. It couldn't get worse, could it?
Yes, it could. A third woman shows up.
And this one, a little older, just as beautiful as they
Absolutely.
are, but more mature beauty. And they both defer to her. Now, they don't look thrilled to have her there, and they don't leave, the other two women.
She's a dominant woman.
She takes over. And she likewise flirts with Rand, but in a little more commanding way. And the best part is when she says, I don't have a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I mean, from this
man.
interaction and some of the stuff we hear in a moment, I think my statement that she is a dominant woman stands.
Oh, she's a dom. What I get here, though, is This makes me chuckle. Rand was so worried about pretending to be a lord and not knowing what to say or what to do. And this situation, this wasn't even on his radar.
No, but it really should have been, because he was basically dealing with this situation back in the Two Rivers.
Oh, and this is where he was. I mean, he is so far over his head now. The other kinds of stuff that was going on, Barthanes, those conversations, he held his own. That's the stuff he was worried about. And he's holding his own fine. This one? Yeah, floundering. Completely floundering, like in the Two Rivers. He doesn't know how to talk to women. Gee, I wish Matt was here.
Matt is its parent. He's wishing right now.
Well, the point is,
he needs an escape.
Yeah, he's trapped, and this older lady's like, she uses a great line. I wrote it down in my notes because it was worth repeating. Are these two spiders trying to toil you in their webs? Half the time they tangle themselves more firmly than anyone else. Come with me, my fine young Andoran, and I will tell you some of the troubles they would give you. For one thing, I have no husband to worry about. Husbands always make trouble.
And so Rand, being very uncomfortable and a little sick of these noblewomen just kind of butting their way into his business, being quite nosy about it, he goes, I have to go talk to somebody over here. I see them, and runs to Tom.
Yep, he escapes the nosy nobles because, there's an excuse. But it is legit because he saw Tom was just stopping his performance.
So it was a good time for him
taking
to
a
be
break.
like,
He grabbed a glass of wine.
I need to talk to him.
Yep, so here's my chance. And he beelines over there. He does literally push through the women, makes his excuses, and heads over there. And when he makes it to Tom, Tom's like, oh, okay, well, let's talk.
And Rand starts explaining, and Tom chokes on his drink.
Yeah, because Rand says, I know you said clean break and everything, but I'm literally just here to get away from those women. And you're my excuse, my lifeline. Thank you.
Tom's just laughing at him.
He recognizes the women.
Uh-huh.
And he does. He thinks it's humorous, the trouble they might get him into. And in fact, he names the last one, Brienne Taberwin.
Mm-hmm.
He says, oh yes, she would give you quite the education. In fact, something any young man ought to have at least once, if he can live through it. It's like, what is he suggesting?
Let's just say her keep includes a dungeon.
Oh, you're back to that. She was a dominant personality, aren't you?
Quite an education, if he could live through it.
Oh, and Rand still does not entirely know what's going on.
That's blatant.
Yeah, it is. But then Tom turns the conversation to Rand's previous claim that he was free of Aes Sedai. And Tom says, half the nobles here are talking about how you, this Andoran lord, showed up tonight with no warning in the company of an Aes Sedai. So Rand, what's the deal?
Oh, she got here yesterday.
Okay. And Rand says, I am done with Aes Sedai, but Dark Friend stole the horn again, so I kind of need to use her help to get it back, and as soon as we've got it safe again, then I'll be done with Aes Sedai. So Tom assumes, so really what you're saying is you need my help because you're tangled with Aes Sedai again?
Can we take a moment to appreciate that Rand's a dumbass?
We'll appreciate that for quite a while. Yeah.
He just dropped that the Horn of Valir has been stolen by Dark Friends and taken here in the middle of a crowded party.
Yeah, but he's talking only to Tom. Nobody listens in. Nobody eavesdrops in Kyrian.
Nobody's noticing or taking note of it at all.
I see no knowing nods in the room as they listen.
Fine.
But yes, so he has revealed Dark Friends took the horn. They've brought it here, and not only that, Lord Barthanes must be a Dark Friend. And Tom's like, whoa, ho, ho. Okay, that is not an accusation you make lightly. If he's not a Dark Friend and you're saying something like that, you could be in a lot of trouble.
And if he is a Dark Friend,
you are in a lot of trouble.
So really, either way, because you said it, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yes,
and again, you're still in a crowded party.
You must need my help, is what Tom is thinking. And saying. And Rand's like, no. Seriously.
You said you were out. I really just wanted to get away from the ladies over there.
Just from the women. Because there were too many shades of gray going on, and I was a little sketchy. So, okay.
I think he was uncomfortable in more ways than one.
I've got this. I'm just going to take care of business now. I'm free from the women. Thank you very much. And we're going to go about our business, and I'll get away from Aes Sedai again as soon as I can. And thank you.
Tom's lovely mustache seems to droop just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good plan, Rand. And it's almost like he's trying to convince himself that Rand has a good plan and that he doesn't need Tom.
You don't need me.
And we know when we had the previous chapter where he was talking with Tom, Tom was having to kind of talk himself out of
It's like, no,
changing
no,
his
I'm
mind
out.
and
I'm
helping
out.
Rand anyways.
I'm
And it's
out.
like, nope, I'm out. Yeah. So here he is again. So he's feeling the tug. Do you think it's Taverin tugging?
Nah, Rand's the mafia. You're never out.
But at that very moment, then, Huron appears, speaking very properly and deferentially as a servant, which Huron had been practicing very well for a number of days now. Speaking of how Rand's manservant had taken a fall and twisted a knee, and I'm not sure how badly he's hurt. And there's a beat, and then Rand figures out what's going
He
on.
finally realizes, oh, we're in the middle of a crowded party and we're trying not to just say all of our secrets.
So Rand speaks now in response, loudly enough that the nearby nobles can hear, complaining about that clumsy fool of a manservant he has, and, well, fine, I'd better go check to see how badly he's hurt. Lead on! And they head out of the room, but as they prepare to go, Tom, he comments just low enough, but loud enough for Rand to hear, saying, yeah, you've been playing the Lord pretty well. But as you do this stuff, remember, the Kyrianan, they may play Days tomorrow, but it was the White Tower who invented the great game in the first place. As Rand and Huron leave the room, the chapter fades to black.
And so we will begin leaving our episode.
Yes. Again, it is a short episode this time, because that's all I had time to prepare. But what an entertaining episode. It really was.
Absolutely.
It's going to jump right into continuing action in our next chapter, which is why I fully intended to flow right into it. But time, life, it didn't work out.
But we will get to it.
Yes.
And if you're listening much later in the future, you'll get to it
You're just
next.
going to push play again and go right on. That's right. In the meantime, though, we do ask that if you're enjoying the podcast, which we truly hope you are, help us spread the good word. Give us a rating and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. You know, Apple Podcast is where 1/3 of all people listen to their podcasts.
Is that true?
That's true. Spotify is where another third listen.
See, I believe that.
And we're getting a lot of Spotify hits lately.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. So
I know
if you're listening in either of those places, leave us a rating. Even if you just hit that 5-star and don't leave any words, it helps people notice our podcast. Please help us out.
I used to listen on Apple and I switched over to Spotify.
Well, there you go. And if you want to leave us a review, that's
Please
great.
do.
Particularly if you want to tell us how much you're enjoying the podcast. If you want to tell us how much you're not enjoying it, don't use a review.
I mean,
that's just, no.
You can,
Send us an
but
email
it's more
instead.
effective if you talk to us
Be
directly.
direct. Yeah.
Because we will be able to maybe engage in some discourse.
Right. We will improve. We will adjust based on what you tell us. Unless you're, like, just wrong. But you can
Wow.
email us at
Wow.
fantasyfortheages@gmail.com. If you want to have a greater conversation, you can join our Discord. Now, Discord's weird. I've been putting a link to join our Discord server.
Yes.
And I've been putting the links with the setting that they'll last forever. And a lot of the old links are bad now. So
Unfortunate.
if you try the link that I'll put in the show notes for Discord and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean we're not there. It means the link's bad. So go to one of our recent episodes, find the link. Don't have to listen to the episode yet. Just find the link and try it. If it's a recent episode, the link will work. But come join us in Discord, talk to us, and all the other people who've joined us there.
But you can connect with us in other places as well. Our Facebook, but more...
Facebook?
it
I know, we're
exists.
on Facebook
More
sometimes.
prominently, you'll find many, if
You know,
not...
Grandma's on Facebook.
Yep. But you'll find our drink recipes on Instagram, along with some other nuggets here and there.
Yep.
Probably won't have my drink recipe today, because we usually do my dad's, but
Unless you put it there.
maybe we will.
I don't have a recipe for this red wine.
Fair enough. So it might be there. It might be my personal first entry in the drink category there.
But the best social media of the mainstream social media to interact with us,
Find us on Twitter.
yeah, we're there every day. We're posting things, we're interacting with fans, and we're interacting with other people's posts. Twitter's great.
But if any and all of these ways was not enough for you to feel like you wanted to show your support for us, you can become a patron.
Yes. So there is a link in the show notes to our Patreon page. And there's multiple tiers that you can choose to support us at. We so appreciate that support. Mostly just because you like us. You really like us. That's what it feels like. But we want people to interact with us. We put out polls. Like our next Magic System series has been decided by our Patreons.
And it is
Warbreaker.
Which
one you haven't read
Before we
yet.
do it, I need to read that book.
Yeah, so you got to get on that one. I love it. It's not very long. You can
I'll
do it.
be doing it
You'll
soon.
get it. But we're definitely going to do Warbreaker next. What a great Magic System. A little disturbing and some moral issues.
That's okay.
Ethical issues with it, which is why it's going to be great to take a look at it. All right. That's it for our regular content. If you are a first-time listener and don't want any spoilers,
Stop it now.
this is the time to jump out! Abandon ship!
But if you are a multi-time reader, already know everything, or don't care about spoilers, we are about to enter
the spoiler room. All right, so let's get to spoiling something. We got to do some rock, paper, scissors. He won this time. It
Again.
took 2. We tied the first time. But, all right.
All right, so my moment of spoiling, Dina about to die.
Oh, wow, that's a harsh spoil.
And
wow.
Dina's about to die because of this conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation Rand has here in Barthanes Manor with Tom directly leads to King Galdrian sending people to go rough up, find information, and eventually kill Dina.
Tell us a little more of how.
I mean,
not how she dies. How
it's the
it
great
leads to it.
game in progress here. A foreign Andorran lord with this whole mess comes in, suspiciously talks with Tom, a random gleeman in the middle of this crowd.
Except Tom isn't a random gleeman.
No.
You think Galdrian knows Tom's history?
Absolutely, especially because the nickname he has and his reputation,
someone who was deep into the great game.
He earned it here. He didn't earn it in Camelin or in Andor.
Oh, I think he was pretty good at the great game.
He did a lot
too.
of it, but he earned it here, and then he moved to Andor.
Okay.
So he's known, and people are like, oh, are you still in the game? And Tom's like, no, I'm out. But it's a little bit the same kind of thing of when Rand says, I'm not playing the game. People don't believe that. So when an unknown lord who theoretically is spurning the king and going to see Barthanes from the king's perspective, by accepting one letter and not the other, the way he did made it so that Barthanes was potentially not liking him. But at the same time, the moment after this happens, King Galdrian is potentially not liking him too. And everybody's down to send assassins.
All right, my spoil turn. I have 2 different things I wanted to spoil, and I'm not gonna, because we have to pick one.
And I didn't take one of them, apparently.
I'm gonna take the more obvious one. And that is Loyal sends to Waygate.
That's a thing that apparently Ogier can do.
Yes. But that Waygate's about to be huge. That's the spoiling thing. Because, they're here to find the Horn of Valir. They're here to find the dagger. They know it came here to this manor house. So they've had it watched. It must still be here. Because that Waygate means you have another way out, and we know Padan Fain already knows how to use Waygates. It doesn't cross their mind at this point yet, but it's going to become really obvious in the next chapter.
Therefore, neither of the 2 things they're looking for, 3 if you include Fain as one of them.
Stuff's already gone. Yep, and they're already behind.
They are dust in the black wind.
Yeah. Nice. All right, that's where we'll stop then for today, yes?
Absolutely.
All right.
Good.
We will talk to you next time.